Come on, man. Don't do that. That's our crane.
Sir, that's not the war in Ukraine. You're watching a video game streamer.
That's one knockout for me.
Alexa, pick up.
Hello, Mr. President. It is me, Putin. It is too late for you to help Ukraine. I advise you not to block SBS. It would be a shame to have nuclear exchange.
You listen to me. I don't know who you are.
Vladimir Putin,
I don't know what you want.
don't block SBS.
If you're looking for a ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. I think Hunty has my credit card. What I do have is a specific set of skills.
Can he not see me?
I will find you. And when I do, I'll put sanctions on you to make it expensive for you to buy coffee and stuff like that.
Good luck.
With what? Yeah, that's what I thought. Go turn the lights off and hide, stupid ass guy.
Yeah, that's probably what's happening inside of the White House from all the perspectives we're getting from outside of it. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski here of WeAreChange.org. There's a lot of absolutely crazy news to get into today as we're finding out that the two Russian fighter jets that violated Swedish airspace were equipped with something that should terrify everyone. This, as even this con man, the president of BlackRock, is warning that difficult times are ahead for what he calls an entitled generation. This, as there's some major financial ramifications that we are going to be dealing with very soon that sadly will be made a lot worse, especially with the latest moves by the governments around the world, as if almost they were deliberately trying to create a new world order and trying to crash the current system. What perfect way to do that than, of course, to use an old senile man for cover for the deliberate destruction of our current way of life. And that's why today I decided to start today's broadcast with, of course, Kyle Dunningham's amazing Fresh Prince of DC video, which, again, I believe is absolutely worth a watch. The link to the full 12-minute video will be down in a description below. It is definitely worth the watch. I definitely do believe Kyle is one of the most underrated comedians in our current political discourse right now. And truly, if you haven't subscribed to him yet, subscribe right now, because his work is absolutely spectacular and hits the nail on the head on a lot of important issues, like the issue of Hunter Biden, the son of the president that, of course, the corporate media took a very long vacation from talking about, as, of course, they previously covered up and lied about his laptop, his business dealings to the entire world in order to help the current president of the United States get into the position of power. And now, even CNN News is saying that Hunter Biden may be put behind bars for his criminal violations that were exposed in the laptop that, of course, CNN even denied existed, said was Russian propaganda, when in reality it had a lot of evidence exposing clear corruption within the Biden family, within the federal government, with multi-million-dollar deals with the Chinese government, the Ukrainian government, insane amounts of money going to the Biden family, to Hunter Biden, including actual documents that show how the Bidens were involved in helping setting up 46 biolab facilities inside of Ukraine. Yes, there was 46 biolabs inside of Ukraine working on some very serious sicknesses, which now the Undersecretary of State is worried about falling into the hands of the Russians, as of course the research was conducted in a corrupted place where politicians sold the safety of their citizenry in exchange for some cash, linked of course to the Biden administration clear corruption in Ukraine that the United States and the Biden family was taking advantage of. How is this affecting the current foreign policy of the United States? Well, that's an interesting question that we've been asking for a very long time, and now the corporate media is starting to ask that question. What's really going on here? There's even a former CIA officer, according to the Epoch Times, that came out and said the letter he signed saying that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian propaganda is accredited, according to his own personal perspective, to Biden winning the presidency and, of course, Trump losing it, as that story was viciously suppressed by the corporate media, big tech, social media. Anyone talking about it was discredited, said that they were spreading false misinformation, disinformation, and now in all reality we were correct all along. But it didn't matter to big tech. They still censored and destroyed even the voices of mainline commentators and institutions like the New York Post for talking about it. And this is why we have started our own platform, LukeUncensored.com, where we get to say and do whatever we want without any fear of repercussions. We could actually speak to the larger truths that are happening in this world without being worried about losing our way of being able to speak or our livelihood. It's absolutely insane, the conditions that big tech social media have created. But fear no longer. We, of course, have our own platform. We get to say and do whatever we want on there. As later on today, we will be talking about the Disney controversy, along, of course, with Pfizer's new alopecia drug, and a lot of other troubling developments. That conversation taking place later on today. LukeUncensored.com. I hope to see you there later on today. Click the link down in the description below to find out more. Now, in yesterday's YouTube video, we talked about the possibility of peace in Ukraine, as there has been some major headway with the Ukrainian and Russian government coming together and conceding on some very important major points. We also warned at the same time that there's other escalations and preparedness efforts being made that do undermine this concept of peace in Ukraine, and sadly, there's a lot more of them to report to you, as even though there's a lot of essentially agreed terms that have been agreed upon, we are still seeing a major mobilization of the Russian military forces moving across Russia, going to, of course, Ukraine. Those latest troop movements have been documented with photos and videos that have been coming out that I have been able to verify. There's also the latest comments from the President of the United States that definitely do not help the current situation. The president made a lot of offhanded, unprofessional remarks, has even told American troops they'll be fighting in Ukraine, talked about the potential use of biological weapons by the United States in Ukraine, and was even talking about how Poland has been training Ukrainian soldiers inside of their country with the help of the United States, which essentially paints a big target on Poland. Now the Pentagon has admitted what Joe Biden has accidentally brought up to the rest of the world, and that they are, quote, liaisoning with Ukrainian forces in Poland and handing them weapons. Along with this news, we're also finding out that the United States will be sending an additional 100, quote, Switchblade drones to Ukraine in order to deal with some of the hardware that the Russians are moving inside of that country. As Fortune has even written a very interesting article that's titled, AI drones used in Ukraine war raise fears of killer robots wreaking havoc across future battlefields, bringing up some very interesting pointers and concerns, as of course the Ukrainians clearly have been doing a lot better in the battle against Russia, mainly because of the technology provided to them by the United States and the West. This, as we have been reporting, massive troop buildup on the Russian border by the West and NATO, as they're going to be now conducting a, quote, very powerful show of force military exercise right on Russia's border, which of course is going to escalate the situation. This, as today we are finding out that 4 Russian fighter jets that recently violated Swedish airspace were, quote, equipped with nuclear bombs with the aim of scaring Stockholm. This, according to the Daily Mail, wouldn't surprise me if this was actually true. We reported on this violation of airspace by the Russian fighter jets. Again, a violation of a country's airspace is a very serious move. This violation by 4 Russian aircraft lasted for about a minute. Swedish media is reporting that they were equipped with nuclear warheads, and this shows you just how serious of a situation we are dealing with, that of course I would say a lot of people are not taking serious enough. And it's not even the threats of escalation. It's not only just the troop movements, but it's also the possibility of an accident happening here that we should all be worried about. Because when we look at the larger military forces, they're essentially a byproduct of what we see at the DMV. Not always, but typically generalized, the kind of belief of a government-produced worker is not usually one of competence. Now you add that on the large-scale military, and whether it's the United States or Russia, there's a lot of potential for any kind of mistake or accident to be made here, that whether through logistical errors or just by pressing the wrong button, bada bing, bada boom, we have ourselves an incident that of course involves other countries, that it becomes extremely dangerous, that of course escalates the situation, and when this situation escalates, it could escalate to grave proportions that of course will cost everyone a tremendous loss of life. But also, this conflict, just by and large, has already cost the people of the world a tremendous amount financially, as of course energy prices have skyrocketed, along with it not just the price of transportation, the price of food, the price of rent, the price of everything's going up because of this conflict, because of the sanctions, because of the larger questioning of the US petrodollar. This, as today, Poland just ended Russian oil imports. Germany is warning to end their imports of Russian gas. This as Germany is literally scrambling and trying to ration gas and energy after, of course, refusing to make payments to Russia in rubles. As, of course, now Russia will only accept ruble payments, not US dollar payments, for their energy to, quote, countries that they deem hostile towards them. Germany has, of course, supported the Ukrainian military and have armed them with their latest technological advancements. There's also the larger speculation that there's going to be attacks on U.S. energy systems, and whether done by external or internal forces, I think it's safe to say that this is something that we should be looking at, as, of course, last year there was a major hack of a pipeline that left a large portion of this country unable to get gas for themselves. Now we're hearing, according to the FBI, that more of these hacks are potentially going to happen. This, as the World Economic Forum already had Cyber Polygon, war games specifically practicing this. And with this larger financial mess, we, of course, have this government socialist teat sucker of corporate welfare, the president of BlackRock, coming out and warning, quote, an entitled generation that needs to brace for shocks and shortages as high inflation is coming to the United States. And according to the president of BlackRock, Americans will be paying an extra $433 a month just for basic goods this year alone, as, of course, inflation is projected to get even worse later on. The economic figures are promised to get even worse later on. And for this man that has received so much help, so much support from the Federal Reserve, from the federal government, to call this generation entitled is absolutely a slap in the face for everyone paying attention. The younger generations have some of the highest housing costs in American history. Income has been kept low, while higher education is a larger Ponzi scheme, scam, or just deemed a larger indoctrination center that rots the brains of this country and its future. So, sorry, yeah, entitled, Rob, is someone who gets hands out from the U.S. Federal Reserve. What the average American is dealing with is going to be a shock, as we've been telling you. This was going to be happening more and more as we've been talking about it for years now. We hope the people who listened to the warnings that we were giving years ago listened. There's ways of preparing. There's ways of even financially having success throughout all of this madness that we talked about specifically on LukeUncensored.com. But we have to ask ourselves, how did we get here? Obviously, there's pure nepotism, corruption, hyper money printing, and absolutely evil financial policies being instituted by the people we call congressmen and congresswomen or government representatives, as individuals like Nancy Pelosi are becoming the, quote, greatest investors of all time when it comes to the stocks that they are moving around, enriching themselves to wealth that normal people can't even imagine. As, of course, people are having a hard time trying to even afford food right now, are having a hard time paying for gas this week. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Nancy Pelosi is using her position in power for clear enrichment of her own personal wealth to the sums that can't even be imagined, while you face record inflation. Trump is even calling the United States a third world country because grocery stores don't have bread. Hardware stores are missing products. Furniture stores take 9 months to deliver furniture. And this coming from a president that indebted this country, spent more money than he had, sent out stimulus checks to the public, is now complaining about how bad the economy is. Really? Gee, I wonder why, when you can't even balance a checkbook, when you borrow and print more money than this country has. Gee, I wonder why that would happen under your direct policies, Donald Trump. So his words right now should absolutely be met with skepticism, as of course he is a part of the problem that we and your children and your children's children are going to be dealing with. This, as for some reason, the Russian ruble is going up in value, and it's nearing its pre-invasion value. This, as there have been major sanctions globally that have disrupted global trade and created a worse-off financial situation for everyone. This, as the United States is just now announcing they're going to be giving an additional $500 million in budgetary aid to Ukraine. All of this as Saudi Arabian state-run media is running the headline that America is, quote, dismantling the pillars of its own empire. And I would have to say that is Absolutely true. Whether you think it's deliberate or not, it's happening. I think it's deliberate. I talk about that. I'm going to be talking about that on lukeuncensored.com later on today. I hope you join us for this conversation. If you thought I did an okay job explaining this very complex situation in a way that made you understand it better, share this video with your friends, family members, random strangers. I don't care who it is. The fact that you share these videos means that we are still alive as independent media, and we wouldn't be if it wasn't for you. There's another video I did about this topic that you could watch right here. Click on it right now. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.